noted these runners here. This is where it slides back onto. Right, you'll see people do different types of services on these boilers. One of them, you'll find people just probing it, basically sticking this in here, getting a reading, and then basically sodding off. It's not actually a service, and they shouldn't really call it a service. It's basically part of a basic gas check, minimum you can do. But then you need to be cleaning up this trap. I mean, there's quite a bit of silt in this one, and it's only, I think it was serviced a year ago. You need to do basically a depression test on this heat exchanger, make sure it's flowing, and you need to set up the CO2's minimum, maximum. Basically should be set as in this sticker here, should match up, and then do all the basic gas checks as normal. Now there's a bit of confusion about how often you should change some of the parts on here. I think when they first come out, you see, because they used to, Worcester was quite happy with checking the depression. If it passed, then you didn't have to break into this heat exchanger. The problem being is the time these sort of failed, if the gasket on the top hadn't failed, is the time you got these open, if they were very scaled in. So inside here is a baffle, looks a bit like this, and in theory Worcester Bosch used to give you this tool, and basically we grab the tool and pull it out and it would come loose. In an ideal world, and in the factory I'm sure that worked very well, but in reality this gets bonded so tight you quite often can't shift it, so you end up looking at a new heat exchanger or even a new boiler. So what we recommend now is every 5 years, even if if you haven't had to break into it sooner, every 5 years you should really be giving it a full strip down. So we're going to have a little look at that now to see what that contains. You can isolate the gas as belt and braces. This pin can come out, the fan wire can come out. These are always hard to get out. And the earth. Let's take this off now, put some light where I'm grabbing the wires. And there's the one at the back. You can pull this out of the way, but don't forget to put it back on because it stops the water dribbling down. Now this one we put the pin out of. Now it's not a conventional nut as you think, it's actually just holding it in on a rubber ring. The pin just stops it pulling out. And that actually can come off. Now this is your main nut here. Should just, yeah, love a theory, how it goes. And this needs to go up slightly. Pull that away. Be able to. This thing. Come right away. Never dead easy, as they make it look on every other video. Not too bad. There you go. In fairness, my gasket's quite good condition. Have a look at them electrodes. If you've gone this far, you might as well change the electrodes really, because it's a lot. Let's have a look. If you can see that, it's pretty worn, probably got some life left in it. It'd be amazing what you see working, but we'll change the gasket, change the electrodes. Now with the burner, when you see the burner here, just take a little note, because there's these little lugs that actually go into the top of the heat exchanger. If you can see them, let's get this out of the way. Now these, great design, sometimes just seems like it's just the perfect place. But if you do need a bit more space, you can bring this down, but often there's no need. So this is where this tool comes in. Hey, hook it up. Actually wants replacing. Now, the next one is always tricky. And quite often, even this one's wedged and this one's been done. So now, reality, you could do with a cap for here. I've siliconed here because this is likely where water's going to go down, and this is where fitters slice these and they're never tight, so I want to protect the PCB. So I'm saying worst case scenario, you've got nothing on the van, I'm trying a rubber glove, that push back on, and we'll see how it holds out. Now I've mixed some bicarb in with some warm water. You can get this from anywhere, it's nothing special, it's not a thing, so people use it in baking and I don't know what they use it for, but it's great in this. So basically I've mixed it up and then I'm going to fill it up, and obviously I don't want it just to pour out the condensing drain, this is why you've got to block it off. So let's give this a soak. You might want to cover your PCB up when you come to get it out. Best thing you can do there is walk off, tidy your van, have a cup of tea, whatever, let it soak in a bit. Now while that's soaking, I'm going to set up my tool, which this one came from Dr. Pipe, I believe. So that's going to be hooking onto like this inside. Just fits in there. I don't even have to take that off. Take that off. Yeah, that's moved it. You see, in reality, they get covered. Look at that. Let's clean that up. And you have a brush here you can get, it's designed just for this heat exchanger, so this will get in there and clean everything down. Right, hardest part is getting the water out without getting it everywhere. Wet back. Right, I've took the glove off, just reattached. A little bit of water, should probably get some blue paper. Seems to be alright. Now, I'm just flushing a bit out through, but make sure you've cleaned all this trap out first if it's going to soak away. Now just work your way down, clean out here, clean out here. We're removing the bottle, try and time it so half of it's empty anyway. It's a bit less water to go on you. If you start siphoning on you, it's a pain. Make sure you don't lose the washer. I like to put a smear of jointing compound on it. And we're back in. Before putting it all back together again, fill your bottle, make sure it's not leaking. Refit. Well, let's get everything back in the top. This is what a bad one looks like. This is what a normal one looks like. Now give this a brush off, because sometimes these little ports get blocked, and they actually light themselves at the bottom to stop flame lift, so make sure that's clean. The good thing while cleaning it, I just noticed in the bottom of it, I don't know if you can see that, that is a bearing plate. That shouldn't be there. That's what it should look like. That's half the bearing plate. So just getting these things in, there is one way it just fits in, but it is a bit like doing a Rubik's Cube. And then you'll see these knobbles, they got to line up. Best yet, in and over there, in. New gasket and electrodes. Now the new one has a little shield there. So this is what it should look like. This is what this one looked like. That's the other half. That's where it sits. You can see that. Now, it's important to make sure that the back of this, you see this bit here, these go cracked and brittle, so sometimes they need to replace it. You've got to make sure that's fully honed there. You'll know when it isn't, because you'll be thinking, oh, I don't know, if you pull down, there's already a little bit of tension on them, but you really feel it, sort of thing. So in fact, sometimes I actually start this nut off whilst I put the next part back in. But I mean, it's down to individuals. I know there's a plate to go on here. Now I've got to admit, sometimes when you're putting these back, you feel like it's just wedging solid, but when it goes, you'll know you got it right. Right, just play around with this a bit. Right, well, I'm happy with there that is. It feels like it's located. So I'm just going to slacken my nut back off. Let's put the little plate back on, because I reckon this one has to come off again. this plate, I always think it's so that window reflects on that, so it just makes you realise which position this goes in. Now I'm just trying to get it, just so it misses. That's the bit you're probably catching on if you can't get it in. Let me see when it goes. There she goes. And it clicks right in. See that? I took it behind there. You don't really, just make sure whatever you do, you just don't want to get trapped in there. I was having trouble getting them things back in. Probably need a little improvement on that design. I think that's everything. You cannot do these without an analyzer. You need that tool, so hopefully that cuts out any DIYers giving this a go. That's why I haven't put the top plate back on yet, so I can get right around the back with my analyzer. Now I was looking for both an analysing reading around there, basically I didn't want any CO2s or parts familiar, and also I use a mirror just to see, make sure there's no steam and vapour off it, just as a double check. Before setting your CO2s, you want to double check your inlet pressure. There's no point setting everything up if you haven't got the gas there. So, I mean, we've got a 28 mil gas supply and the meter's right there, so I'm not worried about this one. We've got about 20 millibars just over, so perfect. Now when you're checking your inlet pressure, there is on the Worcester a little bit of restriction on the gas valve, so you're allowed to take that into account. It's all in the manual. Meanwhile, now we're on maximum flame, we want to set the CO2s bang on. There's a sticker inside here. Now that shows you what minimum and maximum is. Now our CO2 is high. So when you look at this gas valve, it's that one, the top one, and you close it. Imagine like you're doing a gate valve. And now that's come down. Oh, too far. See, that's what I mean sometimes. Go back up. But you're not done there, because you've got to do low flame. So behind this one, see another Allen key in there. So now we're looking for 9. Focus on that, 9.2. And we're way off. So let's adjust that. Just remember this one goes the opposite way, so now we're turning clockwise instead of anti-clockwise. Right, perfect. Be sure to take your Allen key off and give it time to settle, because sometimes the pressure of that can actually change it. But once you're happy with that, go back and check your maximum. I'm happy with the way it stayed. Don't forget to take it back out of service mode by just pressing the spanner button. Set your temperature, because it's easy to leave that turned down or up, so. Right, so there's a few more checks you've got to do, but that's the main. So you've still got to check your expansion vessel. This has got an external expansion vessel for pressures, but you're more or less there. You've done like the big brunt of it. Keep your gas off, make sure it goes into lockout. Some people don't like putting these cases back on, so make sure you get these bits lined up. And then when you go, concentrate on these screws. Don't lunge for the top ones because they're easier. Make sure they line up. Then you won't find it too hard. As soon as you know that one's started, move to the other one. Back to these, finish tightening. Don't forget to check your airway with the case on.